We use it every single day. We work for it, we save it, we spend it. Money seems so simple, right? But the story of what it actually is and where its value comes from, well, that's one of the most incredible tales of human invention there is.
But have you ever really, and I mean really, stopped to think about it? How can this flimsy piece of paper be worth $100 when the paper and ink cost, what, a few cents? The secret isn't printed on the bill. To find it, we've got to go back in time.
And when I say back, I mean way back, before coins, before banks, before any of it. We're going to a time when if you wanted something, you couldn't just buy it. Nope, you had to trade for it.
So welcome to the world of barter, a system where you swap goods and services directly. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But as people started building bigger communities, this simple system started to cause some massive headaches.
Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. Put yourself in this farmer's shoes. Or actually, let's try to get him some shoes. He's got a big, valuable ox, but he needs shoes from the shoemaker, a sweater from the weaver, and medicine from the apothecary. Where does he even start?
Right away, he hits a huge roadblock. For any trade to work, you need what economists call a double coincidence of wants. It's a fancy term for a simple problem. Our farmer has to find a shoemaker who doesn't just have shoes, but who also happens to want a whole ox right at that exact moment. I mean, what are the chances of that?
But okay, let's say lightning strikes and he finds that one person. He's still got another, even bigger problem. How do you make change for an ox? An ox is worth way more than a pair of shoes. You can't just saw off a leg and call it a day. It's completely impractical.
And you can see how these problems just stack up. You've got divisibility, which we just saw. Then there's portability. Try lugging an ox or 50 sacks of wheat to the market. Good luck with that. You've got durability. A lot of goods, especially food, go bad. And maybe worst of all, there's no standard value. It's just endless, exhausting haggling over everything.
So clearly this whole barter thing wasn't going to work long term. Humanity needed a better system. And that need, as it always does, sparked one of our greatest inventions, money.
So here's a quick roadmap of where we're going. We're going to see how we went from just bartering to using things like shells, to the invention of coins, the leap to paper, and all the way to the digital world we live in today.
The first big idea was something called commodity money, basically using items that everyone just sort of agreed had value, things like salt or these cowrie shells. They were a pretty good solution for a while, but they had a bug. In some places, you could just walk along the beach and find more money. That's not great for its value. So we needed an upgrade, something rare and durable like precious metals. And this is where things get really interesting. Around 600 BCE in Lydia, which is modern-day Turkey, they had a game-changing idea. They started making some of the first ever official coins. They stamped them with a seal, guaranteeing their weight and purity. And just like that, bam, all those headaches from barter, solved. They were durable, easy to carry, easy to divide, and everyone knew what they were worth. Coins were a massive success. I mean, they took off like wildfire and spread across the globe. But as economies got bigger and bigger, you solve one problem and a new one pops up. This time, it was a simple matter of weight. Think about it. A few coins in your pocket to buy some bread? No problem. But what if you're a big shot merchant trying to buy a whole ship's worth of cargo? You can't exactly haul a treasure chest to the docks. It's heavy, it's inconvenient, and frankly, you're just asking to get robbed. So a new, absolutely brilliant idea came along. People thought, hey, what if we don't carry the gold around at all? What if we just leave it somewhere super secure, like a bank, and they give us a paper receipt for it? And that little piece of paper, that IOU, is something you can carry around. And this is a really key point. These first banknotes weren't money in their own right. They were just claim checks. Their only value came from the promise that you could walk into that bank anytime and swap that piece of paper for real, shiny gold. This system is what became known as the gold standard. And for centuries, that was the rule. Money was tied to something real, something tangible you could hold. But then the 20th century happened, and the very definition of money got turned completely on its head. So what happened? Well, in a word, war. During the World Wars, governments were desperate. They needed to fund their armies, and that took a staggering amount of money, way more than the gold they had sitting in their vaults. So they did the only thing they could. They just started printing more money, breaking that fundamental link to gold. And you can probably guess what happened next. Let's make it super simple. Let's say a country has $1,000 in circulation, and it's backed by 1,000 ounces of gold. Easy math, $1 is worth 1 ounce of gold. But now, the government prints another $1,000 without getting any more gold. You've still only got 1,000 ounces of gold, but now there are $2,000 chasing it. Suddenly, each dollar is only worth half an ounce of gold. And that, my friends, is inflation.
This whole situation forced the world into the system we have today. It's called fiat money. Fiat is just a fancy Latin word that basically means because I say so. This money has values simply because a government declares it does. It's not backed by gold, it's not backed by silver, it's backed by one thing and one thing only, our collective faith in the government that issues it.
The final nail in the coffin for the old gold standard came in 1971. U.S. President Richard Nixon went on TV and announced that the U.S. dollar would no longer be convertible into gold. And since most of the world's currencies were pegged to the dollar, this was a massive shockwave. Overnight, the world's entire financial system was cut loose from physical metal and set adrift on a sea of trust.
So that brings us right back to that piece of paper we started with. Its value comes from trust. But if the story has taught us anything, it's that money is always changing. It's always evolving. So what's next?
Well, today, the biggest new chapter being written is cryptocurrency. And it represents a totally different way of thinking. Fiat money is centralized, controlled by governments and central banks. Crypto is decentralized. Governments can print as much money as they want. Many cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, have a fixed, limited supply. And where fiat money's value comes from trusting institutions, crypto's value comes from trusting pure mathematics and code. It's a brand new frontier. And yes, it's also a lot more volatile, at least for now.
When you really step back and look at it, the journey of money is the journey of human ingenuity. We went from the struggle of trading an ox, to the cleverness of using a shell, to the precision of a coin, to trusting a piece of paper, and now to trusting lines of code sent across the internet. It never ever stops changing, which leaves us with one big question. What are we all going to agree has value tomorrow?